Hi y'all, it's your girl Lauren reporting live from Cooper and Sanford at George Stevens Park here in Arlington, Texas. We are Arlington Urban out here with the community, and we're here to celebrate the culture of our people. Big ups to the whole AUME family, where it's always Arlington first.
We own the hood. If you live by it, die by it, then, man.
Okay. Prince the Pleasure. Hi, Mr. Warden. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, Lauren. How you doing this early morning in Arlington, Texas?
Pretty good. And so what do you want people to refer to you as?
Jerry.
Jerry.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's start off with some background questions. Where are you from?
Arlington, Texas. Yes, ma'am.
And what part of Arlington are you from?
Well, I grew up on Harmon Terrace, 1617 Harmon Terrace, where I went to Blanton Elementary for 6 years, Carter Junior High for 3 years, Sam Houston High School for most of 3 years.
Yeah. And so do you have any other educational background or anything like that, or?
Well, I do. So when I figured out, I learned something, grow up a little bit. But I have a couple of associate degrees, one from Central Texas College and one from Alvin Community College. And then I have a BA in Humanities from the University of Houston, Clear Lake.
Nice. Good. And so tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you family oriented at all?
Absolutely. Shoot, yeah. I was raised in a strange kind of way. My mother had me when she was 16, but my grandparents stepped in. And I have 3 sets of grandparents. It's crazy. So I've got more family than a lot of people. I've got 3 families.
Okay.
My mom remarried when I was 2 or so to the Warden guy. And they never told me that he wasn't my real dad till I was about 12 or 13. Set me down one day and said, "Hey, you have another dad, another grandma, grandpa, and they're on their way to get you right now."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I love them all, and I have 3 beautiful daughters, and it's really crazy, because I wanted my name to go on, I don't know, a little bit selfish or even what do you call it, narcissistic, boy, everybody loves to put the narcissistic label on you. That's the first daggum thing they go for, but turned out my oldest daughter's a lesbian, and she had a child with this beautiful lady, and they're married, and the son's name is August. We call him Gus, but his last name is Warden.
Oh, wow. So you got to carry on your legacies.
And my name is going to be carried on just because of gay marriage and the beautiful opportunities that this world presents people today, as opposed to maybe when I grew up, wasn't so good.
Well, that's good. At least your name gets to carry on. So going back to you in high school and everything, you said you went to Sam Houston. How would you describe yourself during your high school days?
Well, we had 3 classes back then. I don't know if these are probably like ancient terms to you, but we had the socials, we had the freaks, and we had the ropers. And you can imagine I was a freak.
You weren't in the socials?
No. And I have friends that were. It's funny how you grow up in elementary school, none of that matters, and then you get to junior high and you start gaining your own identity, and so anybody that knows what I'm talking about, it's so tough over there now, but they have security guards in the parking lot now and everything, but it was never like that when I was. It was wide open. It was just the craziest thing. So the west parking lot was always the freak side, and the socials or the ropers, they never came to that side, you know, and that east side was their side. And socials kind of was like a term that turned into yuppie kind of like thing, you know, later on, I guess is an adult term. But I was just a long-haired rock and roll kid who turned into a long-haired metal man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice evolution.
Yeah. I'm become okay with it.
Yeah. So what influenced your interest into politics?
I've just always had an interest in politics. I really have. You know, I can go toe-to-toe with some of the best of them. I can talk about the '72 election, when Richard Nixon trounced George McGovern, and George McGovern was the most progressive candidate we had at that time. We had all these hopes and ideals and everything. And then Jimmy too, I loved Jimmy. Jimmy Carter was a groovy president, and he's shown to be, you know, pretty good guy, you know, all these years later, you know, and I saw, you know, really, you know, I saw just things, you know, like what the Republican Party did to Jimmy in the 1980 election. It, you know, I don't know how, are you familiar with the Iran-Contra scandal?
No, I'm not.
You ever heard of the Iran-Contra scandal?
No.
Okay, well, let me just educate you here
Yes, please
just a
do.
tad. The American people were down on Jimmy because the Iranians had overthrown the Shah, the government there, and took our embassy workers hostage. Did you hear about that? We had the hostage, the Iranians held our Americans hostage. Well, you know, the Republicans played hard on that because Jimmy couldn't get them home. He even shot in a copter one time, and they shot it down, and then they drug it all through Tehran and all that, you know. And he couldn't get the hostages home, and the Republicans were using that strong in the 1980 election. He's a weak president, you know, a good, strong Republican, go right there and, you know, tell them what's what, you know. And so they used that, and then come to find out later on, and they never could prove it was Reagan, but there was a dude named Oliver North. He got up and he was like so high in the command, if you ever look his name up, you know, he took the blame. But they definitely knew that the Republicans spoke with the Iranians and said, hold the hostages until after the election. If you hold the hostages until after the election, we'll win and we'll send you arms. The same very people who were holding our hostages, these other Americans were making deals with them. Hey, just hold them there, man. We're going to shoot you arms. And this truly happened. It's called the Iran-Contra scandal. How they got the Contra in there was the Contra rebels. Noriega, you ever heard of Noriega down there in Panama? He was the middleman in the deal. After the Republicans didn't win their election, stole it from Jimmy in 1980 by those devious means, they sent weapons to Noriega, and Noriega sent them to Iran. And it was so obvious that they released the hostages on Inauguration Day in 1980. Wow. I mean, 1981 is the year it went around there to January, whatever it is, you know, January. Is it January 20th? We do it every year?
Yes,
January,
about that time.
Yeah, January 20th, every year, every 4 years. On Inauguration Day, the Iranians released our hostages. It was just obvious, man. They'd made some terrible deal behind Jimmy's back to get him out of the office. And then, God, we went on such a horrible run of 8 years of Reagan, 4 years of Bush, and it was 12 years. You guys, man, be lucky and fortunate that we've got to see these groovy things in these later years that we've had, you know, like President Obama, you know, and And then even now that we stood up, you know, to Trump and took back the country, man, because he got more votes than any other person had ever received ever. Except this Biden dude got a few more, you know, like 7 million more, you know, but, you know, I think it would be, what, 83, 76 or something like that million, and 76 million was a record if 83 didn't exist, you know. So, I mean, to see us stand up and say, oh, hell no, and take back the country, you know, is a groovy thing. Man, that didn't used to happen like that. It was just always bam, 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 you know, hitting you with all the tough stuff. And then when, I know I'm, you know, elaborated way too much, but when Bill Clinton was able to win the presidency in '92, it was just straight fluke because they had the control for 12 years. But Ross Perot stepped in. They would say, I would just call him narcissistic. They wouldn't call everybody narcissistic nowadays. But he ran against an incumbent in the Republican Party, which is rare. You know, most of the time the incumbent just rides on to the next election, you know. But he ran against George Bush and lost, and then ran on a third party. So he won 19% of the vote, overall vote, which split the Republican vote and let this little dude from Arkansas, you know, come on in there, you know, Bill Clinton. But it was such a backlash that our country in 1994 was the major red wave when everything turned Republican. Why? Because they seen a Democrat become president, and they're just, it's like, had this major backlash against it, you know. And he finally did earn his own credibility in 1996. He beat Bob Dole for his second term. He beat him outright, you know. But the first time when he got in, it was only because Ross Perot took 19% of the vote, which is 1 in every 5, you know, that 20%. And then he split that Republican vote like that, and Clinton squeezed in there. We'd have been, you know, probably no telling when it would have ended, you know. And so you guys have got to see some really cool stuff. And so, you know, I could go on and on about politics, but yeah. I love politics, you know.
But seeing that, like, early on and everything, that kind of got you interested more, like, inside of it.
It makes you want to change your world, man, the place where you came up from, you know. And I never was down with those things. I was always a little hippie kid. And you know, the world twisted me around back and forth a few times to where I, you know, wasn't so proud of myself. But I you know, try to, you know, I still appreciative of all the great things we've seen. I could tell you so many stories. You know, I grew up in this town in the '70s. We had one gay club, and everybody knew where this gay club was. And it was like, it should have been neon pink, you know. It might as well have been, is what I'm saying, you know. Because everybody knew where it was. And guys in high school, you know, would get together and say, let's go down there and, you know, roll them. You ever heard of that term, roll the gay people? They go down and roll them. They go down and beat them up as they come out of the club only because they were gay.
Wow.
And I would never participate, you know. I thought, nah, man, go and take me home, man.
Yeah.
But I would hear it, you know. It'd be like, man, we're gonna go down there, man. They're easy, man. They don't deserve to live, you know. And so we've come a long way, you know, all the way to it. My daughter is married, you know, in this state, you know. Yeah. So there's been a lot of change, man. We need a lot more too, of course, and just want to be a part of it as much as I can. You know, I know none of these people in this damn town expect me to win this election, not by any chance in hell. But they don't realize how many people I know in this town, and I grew up in this town, and even Republicans will cross the line and vote for me, you know, just because it's old Jerry, you know, or Warden, you know, we went to junior high with him, you know, or whatever, you know, and so
it's all about those relationships as well. So.
It is. All these roots here, you know, that I have, and God, you know, I would shock these people if I were to win. It'd be complete turmoil in their mind, you know. It'd be complete elation in my mind and a lot of other people's mind, but so, you know.
Well, outside of politics, what are some hobbies that you enjoy doing?
Music. Did I mention music?
Not well. I think a little bit earlier, but
I don't golf. I don't play tennis.
You're not into sports or anything?
I love sports as a fan.
Okay.
Heck yes, I do. I'm a Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
We finally signed Dak yesterday,
Exactly.
man. It's a groovy thing. It's going to be the face of our team for the next half a decade, if not a whole one. And he's a perfect guy, man. He's handled it all with class, man, and dignity, you know, and everything he's had to handle. But I'm a big Mavs fan, too. We're rolling right now. We won 10 out of 12. I could talk to you about Mavs all day. I'm a sports fan. Rangers, I'm a Rangers fan for sure. Rangers fan probably first because we had them in Arlington, you know, so early when I was a kid, you know. So I have memories of my grandfather taking me to the game and everything. But yeah, somewhere along the line there, about 18, 19 or so, I figured out, hey man, this music thing is my thing, man, you know. And it's just, I was just always enamored by the culture and everything. Like, man, you don't know just how hard it is to try to imagine what a long-haired guy was like in the late 60s or 70s, early 70s in this town. I mean, you could drive down the road and a cop would hit that U-turn and get right on you, man, you know, and beat you up on the side of the road and then take you down there and say that you assaulted a police officer or something, charge you with assaulting police. I mean, never were there cameras or anything, you know. It was wide open, you know, and one time I pulled up to the red light at Park Row in Collins, I'll never forget it. And this hippie van pulled up next to us and had flowers and peace signs painted on it. Man, I'm out the window this far, you know, yeah. My mom, don't you look at them people, they were bad people.
Aww. Just because they were in a hippie van?
Yeah. I mean, they were long hairs,
yeah.
You know, and how dare they, you know, and I'm like, man, I'm thinking, man, I don't know what's wrong with you, man.
Yeah.
They look cool to me, man. And I just knew what I was gonna be, you know, and maybe shallow, maybe didn't do enough, you know, for mankind, or whatever, but I've enjoyed it, you know.
Yeah.
I've been in music my entire life. I've made a living. I'll sit here tomorrow night.
What instruments do you play?
None, really.
Yeah.
I can play guitar. Can you say half-ass? I can play guitar half-ass, and I'm going to learn more so I can teach my grandkids. But I've just always been a singer. Okay. Nice. In a band. I have a metal band that's been ongoing since the beginning of time when dinosaurs were roaming the earth. It's called Warlock. And then of course I didn't trademark the name back then, so a German band trademarked Warlock, and now I got to go by Warlock, Texas. But it doesn't matter when we play. A lot of people come, and it's crazy and wild, and so I still get to have a little fun.
So let's see. Let's ask about, you have the title of the Godfather of Metal in the Metroplex. How did you get this title?
It's really just from creating a metal scene where there was no metal scene. And once upon a time, there was no such thing as metal music. I mean, you know, various people came along in time. Jimi Hendrix probably would have been the first, you know, because rock was one thing before Jimmy came along, and rock was totally different, something else, after Jimmy came along. These guitars all wanted to play as wild and hard as they could, you know. So they used to just be okay going tinka, 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 you know. And then this dude come down, and he's, you know, it's like, I like that. And so then Eddie Van Halen would have been another one. He'd come out doing the up and down the thing on the guitar, you know, where the old guys played from the blues notes and stuff like that. But really, there was no metal scene here. I started a band called Warlock. We had no place to play, so I started doing these concerts in the fields out there, because they wouldn't even let us in clubs. You understand? I'd go to these club owners and say, hey man, can we play here, you know? And they're like, what's the name of your band? Warlock. What kind of music y'all play?
Yeah.
Metal. Nah, man, nah. we doing that now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and I opened. First off, I did the heavy meadows from '82 and '83. It was like an outdoor thing, man. It was cool, man. One of my flyers made Pantera's behind the VH1 behind the music. If you ever look on there, if you ever watched the Pantera behind the music. And Pantera was from Arlington. Are you familiar with Pantera?
No, but I've heard behind the music though and stuff. So.
You hadn't heard of Pantera?
No.
That's a bit. If nothing else, that's the reason I was on this show. Pantera was a multi-million album selling band that came from Arlington, Texas.
Wow. Multi-million.
One of the biggest, in the 90s, they were the biggest metal band. Metallica's probably taking it back from them. Because, I can't believe you don't know that story or anything.
Yeah. I've heard of Metallica though.
Okay. Well, this is horrendous. But the guitar player for Pantera was badass, man. And he got shot and killed on stage in Toledo, Ohio. A nut ran up there on stage. I can't believe you don't remember, never heard it. Come up there, put a pistol on his head, shot him, blew his brains out on stage. And this truly happened. And it's like, dude, I mean, it was a major thing. It's like, you know, they had the big wake deal at the Arlington Convention Center. It's all packed and all luminaries from around. Eddie Van Halen was there. You heard of him, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, Eddie Van Halen put his famous guitar in Daryl's casket.
Wow.
He was there at his thing, man. Yeah, this screwball got up on stage and shot Daryl, man.
Wow.
He went by Dimebag professionally somehow. I don't know how he evolved into all that, but anyway, Daryl was his name. Daryl Abbott. And so now there will never be any more Pantera, but yeah, you should know about Pantera. They sold, I mean, more albums from this city than anybody. Pentatonics, anybody. Yeah. They've sold more records. Maren Morris, go check it out, and you'll see.
I gotta look them up then, because I've never heard of that.
So that, you know, and so we did the Heavy Meadows in '82, '83, and then I opened the very first metal club in '85 called Rascals, and the sign is right back there on the wall. See how it says Rascals, Home of Warlock, right here, back in the music center. All those are my old posters back there, like a bunch of collector stuff. But that sign right there is a legendary sign, the very first metal club in all the Plex. We call it the DFW Metalplex now, and so. We had that, and then I had some shortcomings there, you know, because I didn't know anything about the club business until all of a sudden I was in the club business. Mm-hmm. And then I got the next place called the Tombstone Factory, and then I started the next place called Joe's Garage, and then I booked a place called Hotel Hell, and those were all the beginning of the metal scene.
Nice. Also,
on top of that, I hosted the very first metal show on KNON. You familiar with KNON?
No.
KNON is a community radio station in Dallas.
Okay.
You should know about that too.
Okay.
Y'all know about KNON? Oh, KNON? No? Golly. They're a community radio. See, in every market is mandated by the FCC to have a community radio station. Theoretically, where, you know, all the big names, Coca-Cola and whatever, can't control this one, you know, platform. So, yeah, and like it's the same thing with TV. That's why we have KERA, you know, Channel 13 TV, because the FCC mandates in each market that there's one community television station and one community radio station. And KNON is a community radio station in Dallas. And I hosted the first metal show there from '86 to '89, and then I did Warlock, and then all the clubs. I think that covers it about it. I know I'll think of something else here in a minute, but.
Yes. So you're pretty big in the music scene and everything. What about hip hop? Do you have any favorite artists, or because you know Arlington Urban, we more so have a hip hop culture as well, and a platform as well. So yeah.
Cool. Now, you know, the ones I know about are really the old ones. You know, I I could sing you a bunch of Ghetto Boys songs. I guarantee you I can.
Yeah.
But none of them don't have all them words in it, you know.
Yeah.
And I can't think of one straight out of Compton. Crazy mofo named Ice Cube, running with the gang called All Them Dudes with Attitude. With a sawed off in the car door, squeeze the trigger, yo, bodies all harder. You too pay if you jack with me. The police gonna have to come and get me off your butt. That's how I'm going out. Punk mother think of showing out.
Nice.
Wanna rumble, keep on mumble. Yeah, stick it in the pot, man, cook it like gumbo. You think I had that in me?
I think I'm a little surprised, I will say.
See, I'm telling you to learn about Pantera and stuff like that, so you can look at me and say, dude, you know, and you know, I'll be truthful, I went to prison in '95, so, you know, I got cut off from a lot of stuff right then from that point on, you know, just what you could barely hear, you know, in there sometime, you know, and, but I'd always amazed them cats in there too, man, that I knew all the Ghetto Boys stuff, you know, and UGK was just getting started when I went to prison. And so after, it's the same thing with a lot of rock bands and a lot of metal bands. From around here even, they're like really big, like Pimpedelic. Y'all ever heard of Pimpedelic? Pimpedelic made it out here really big, man. They were on Tommy Boy Records, man, and got on the bus and went on tour with House of Pain. Did some cool stuff, man. They wrecked it because they were as wild and crazy as I'll get out, you know. One of them's dead now too, and so you have what was called rap rock. Are you familiar with that? Anyway, rap rock or rap metal? Yeah.
I didn't know it existed.
Yeah. We had a cat from Salt Lake City here last weekend named Andrew W. And like, you know, it's like hard, you know. Okay, well, what do you know about Ice-T's metal band? Do you know anything about Body Count?
No.
No? Do you guys know anything about Body Count? It's Ice-T's metal band. Ice-T has he has his rap thing and everything, and I've got several of those records. But he has a metal band. I can't believe it because his first album came out in '92. It's called Cop Killer. Okay, and it, like, a lot of times I think people are confused too. Like, maybe, did you just think that was Ice-T's rap stuff, Cop Killer? Did you think that when Cop Killer was Ice-T's rap stuff? Yeah, see, that was his first album as a metal band. That's all metal, but he's hitting it hard on the vocals, but it's all metal. And they've done 3 or 4 more albums since then, but that was the first one, and you know, it came out, you know, right around the time the '92 incident. God, I can see it in my mind. I can't think of that poor man's name, but that's the one that Ice-T put out. What was the man's name that got beat up in '92, man? God, my mind sucks being old. Rodney
King.
Rodney King, come on, help me. Right after that, Ice-T put out that Cop Killer, you know, and that sort of stuff. And I'm not promoting killing cops, or I'm not promoting killing anything, you know. But that's just the way it went down. And so, yeah. So there's a whole, like, there's of course there's rap, and if there's any difference in rap and hip hop, maybe some people know. But then there's rap rock and rap metal. Heck yeah, and it's all those different varieties. So like I said, Andrew W. Boss was here last Saturday, and he's been around a long time. He's just like charging metal, and then it'll stop, and then it'll rap, you know, dun, 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 dun. And then here'll come the charging metal back behind it again, you know. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
I gotta come watch it one day. So you mentioned Maren Morris, and Arlington is known for supporting some local artists. Mayor Jeff Williams actually gave Maren Morris a proclamation. And so we were wondering how popular hip-hop artists from Arlington, such as Splurge, Cincy Molly, Two Tone, Nojo Wallace, Gucci Boy Mel, Nuby Mac, Gregory Sachs. Have you heard of any of these names before?
No.
No, so those are like hip-hop artists that are from Arlington as well. Yeah, so
man,
you gotta check them out.
Please tell them to come down here and let me book some of it too, man, because I booked this place, and yeah. And there's this one kid named Keyshawn. I call him kid, and I call people in their 40s kid now. Named Keyshawn, and he talked to me about doing a gig, and I think my owner got scared. I shouldn't even say that, but I'm not gonna let that. I fixed to sneak it on him. Fixed to hammer down in here.
Yeah.
We hammer down with metal.
Yeah.
Why can't we hammer down with some hard rap around this motherfucker?
So how can they like receive some of the same support as well? Because we have like artists like Maren Morris or other country artists and stuff that come here and they get recognition, but the hip hop culture here is big as well. So.
Well, now you know. Unfortunately, you know, all of those things are measured by numbers, right? In the end, you know, to a lot of those people, just like Pantera came from Arlington, and they're the biggest metal band to ever come from Arlington by a long shot. But behind them, there's so many Warlock, Rigor Mortis, Rotting Corpse that never get any recognition, you know. So it sucks like that. And you mentioned Maren Morris. There's probably how many other country artists from here dying to make it as well. You know, she's just that one, you know.
Yeah.
So speaking on those types of terms, I would think we need to get a hip hop artist that makes it pretty big out of here, so they can shed some light on the rest of the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just common from what I've seen with everything like metal and then Maren Morris. I couldn't name you a Maren Morris song if you're gonna pay me. But I do see that she takes a lot of cool stance on stuff, you know, and sticks up for some things, man, and that's pretty cool, you know. So I respect that in her and appreciate it in her. You know, she's not just sitting there going, yeah, I'm a good old hick from Texas, and that's how it is. Give me my pappy ribbon, shut up.
Exactly.
So I think that's what the hip hop folks need to do. Wouldn't you need to get one big lady or man blow up here, you know, and do the big
There's
numbers?
Been a few, honestly.
Well, talk to me then.
Yeah.
Tell me.
I mean, I can name some, but there's been a few.
Yeah.
We had some on the list.
Yeah.
Cincy Molly, Splurge.
Cincy
There's been
Molly.
Tay-K. I don't know if you've heard of him.
And what you say, Surge?
Splurge.
Splurge.
Yes.
Okay, I want to try to remember this. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking you, so I can, you know, I've only got so many brain cells left, you know, and you got to try to fit it in a couple of them.
Yeah.
But that's neat. We need one of them to blow up, and then that's what happened. When Pantera blew up here, it shed light on the metal scene here. Maren Morris, I don't think so much because she moved immediately, relocated herself somewhere else.
Yeah.
Pantera always lived here, always stayed here.
Right.
So, but they still could have taken more bands from here out on tour, you know. And you needed had to have that camaraderie, right? Where the first guy that makes it big, he gets to go on tour. He needs to say, "Well, hey, back home we got homegirl, man. She can do this and that and the other thing, man. You know, you got to." You put her on tour, man. Put a record out by her. Put her on tour, and you know, that would have been a simple answer, broad answer, but that's just how I've seen it work with the other ones, you know.
I agree.
Sorry, I should have that turned off.
You're fine. All right, moving into some more Arlington questions. What are your biggest issues in Arlington that you would like to address?
Definitely police reform. I think a lot of the police in this city are bullies. Straight up bullies.
But this leads me to my next question though. Can the police actually be reformed? Just because of the history of policing?
I hope so, yeah. You know, you always got to be either optimistic or pessimistic, and it's easy to be pessimistic, you know, everything we've seen, you know, all the ugliness that we've seen, but it's better than it was. See, speaking from an old man, here I'm an old man, I've seen blatant homophobia. You know, I'm a white dude. I'm an old white dude, so I'm supposed to hate everybody, you know. I'm supposed to hate black people, I'm supposed to hate brown people, I'm supposed to hate gay people. Because I'm an old white dude, but I'm not. You know, not all of us are that way. You know, and so I I try to stay on the positive side of things. It's not going to be easy though, because they've done the things their way for so long, and it's bred into them too. Just like racism's bred into everybody, you know, and it's bred into us all to a certain extent, I believe, you know, and we ourselves have to check ourselves at the door, and hopefully, you know, I don't think it'll be easy. I know we got the new chief coming in, and he's not an insider from Baltimore, right? Mm-hmm. Correct. And so he's not entwined with this good old boy system like, say, Big Boss Ross is. Golly, do you think we'd have any police reform if Big Boss Ross wanted that gum thing? Man, we'd have some police reform, all right. Go get them, guys. Got your back. Yeah, it'd be on attack, man, you know. So, yeah, we can reform it. They just need to learn, man. First off, we're going to have everything on video. So you better act right, or you're going to hit the door, you know. And of course, but in that time, you know, you could have already ruined somebody's life, man, or even killed them, you know. You see it all the time. You know, you watch the same TV I do, you know, that incident over there in Keller where the guy was just trying to film his son being arrested,
exactly,
you know.
Exactly, yeah. And then they arrested him.
Tackled him down, man, like a common criminal, man, and man, they owe him some bucks, and they you know, and that kid that was walking home in the cold just the other day, it just never ends, man, you know, and it's just like, I seen it, you know, I know what it's like. To be pulled over walking, I said, when I know what it's like, I just say, I mean, I'll be walking down the road and get pulled over, you know. Hey, what's going on? Hey, not much, how's it going? I don't need anything, I'm good. Well, I just never seen you in the neighborhood before, you know, and I was, you know, this is my beat, and I kind of keep track of things. Well, hey, man, I jog out here all the time, man. I used to help you. All right, then. You got any ID? Damn, man. Yeah. I'm a free American walking down the street, man. You got any ID? Golly, man, you know, so I've been pulled over walking many times, just walking in a free country. in a free country, so yeah, we need to change them, man. I also, but I mean, I think you should give everybody a chance to change. You should say, look here, pal, the old way is no way. And if you're up to trying to understand, be decent people, treat people decently, then, you know, if you're open to that idea, you know, then man, we can work on things, you know. Exactly. If you're not, if you're closed-minded, get the heck out the door, man. And you know, you know, police need to be nice people, man. When they pull up, they need to, hi, how you doing? Everything going good today? Anything I can help you with? You know? No, man, I'm groovy, man. But thanks for asking. You know, exactly. Right on, man. All right, have a great day, man. You know, that's the way it should be. Like, oh, I've never seen you in my neighborhood before. You know, come on, man. And so, yeah, you know, we got to change the whole thing. We got to reform these people to where, and you know, when they get off in clusters, don't tell them what they say either. Yeah. But we got to try, and the one thing we do have advantage on, we got them boogers on camera most of the time. So at least you're gonna be held accountable for your horrible actions if you know, commit any, you know.
So do you have any other issues in Arlington that you want to address as well? Well,
I'd like to see sight and release. Now, let's be 100% honest. I believe in the legalization of marijuana, 100%. Recreationally, medicinally, the whole 9 yards. I've been to Colorado. Me and my girl go to Colorado. It's so groovy up there, man. Everybody's groovy, man. Nobody's really on a negative trip. It's a really cool thing. Fell in love with this little city up there named Trinidad, and we might end up retiring there. We can't get no legalization here before we get too old to get out of the car and get out in the car. But
why is the legalization of marijuana important to you?
So many reasons. You know, personally, me, I've smoked marijuana for 45 years. You know, I mean, I'm not, no, that's the wrong one. There you go.
Oh, wow. Whole tattoo.
That's me right there.
Is that a J?
No, the leaf's coming out of my head, and that's what they call pothead.
Oh, wow, I like that.
But, you know, just medicinally for pain, you know, all these people, man, just so many lives have been ruined. Think of all the football players, you know. Finally, the NFL has, the No Fun League, the NFL has taken marijuana off of its substance list, you know. And that gave so many guys a chance to come back and they're saying, hey man, I don't want to take these handfuls of narcotics you're trying to give me, man, you know. I don't want all them hydrocodone or oxycodone or whatever, man. Just give me a couple of dubers right there, man, and we're gonna be okay, you know. And I'm not gonna cause anybody any problems. So it's just so many things medicinally. My woman is a 2-time cancer survivor, and she is definitely helped by marijuana. And she has never caused me, I've been in trouble. She's never been in trouble in her life. She don't cause nobody no problem anytime. All she wants to do is smoke marijuana, man, you know, and she finds the greatest relief. Yeah, you know, I could just go on and on when it comes to marijuana. For one thing, this is a free country. If you're gonna let people go down to this liquor store and buy these bottles of liquor, they can drink half a bottle of Jack Daniels and go ape shit crazy. But you can't smoke a doob or two, man. Be groovy, you know, man. Yeah. So it's very, it's just one of those things that we've needed to break down for so long, you know. Of course, it doesn't rank up there with, you know, racism or homophobia or anything like that. That's human lives, you know, being involved. But I mean, yes, but human lives are involved when marijuana comes to the table too, you know. Somebody find, you know, relief there.
Well, speaking of some other human life issues as well, as you know, COVID-19 is a very big issue that we still have in this nation and around the city. How do you feel that the city responded to COVID-19?
I don't think we really did anything outside of the box, did we? I mean, we just followed the chain of command down from the president to the governor, and so I don't really see Arlington as having done. I mean, now we didn't go against you know, a lot of it's been tough too, because, you know, like we had to do the same thing. We had to pay $775 to get a food and beverage certificate to stay open.
Yes.
So the government got a lot of $775 fees, you know, for these folks to change their place to a restaurant. And half of them were just pulling food trucks up outside, man. We go, man, come on, man. Here's my $775, buddy. It's almost the same thing, you know. But we did it. We had to do it. We had to stay. They got to pay the bills, you know. So paid their $775, and now we're a food first. And it was just so silly. Even Billy Bob's, wasn't that something? Billy Bob's turned himself into a restaurant. Now, as soon as they lifted his 100%, they shirked that, you know. Here we are, Billy Bob, yeah, you know. So, but just in Arlington, I don't think we did anything. But I don't think we did anything detrimental. But I just don't think we took any innovative steps, you know, to say, you know what, you know, I mean, look at Clay Jenkins. I mean, that booger took a lot of heat, man, for all the things that he did, you know. So we're under a county situation as far as that goes, and we got that Glenn Whitley guy. I think, just to me, he just followed the chain of command, didn't he? And then it's pretty much Arlington followed the chain of command. I'd like to say something, but I don't know if you're gonna ever get down to it or not. But one thing that I've heard some of them say, and I heard old Big Boss Ross the other day say, he said that Arlington has been and continues to be innovative in our mass transit approach, which basically is put off to say, hey man, we're trying this VIA right now. Before that we had the MAX. We're innovative, you know, or bullcorn. We need some buses. We need buses to pick people up. The rich people on the west side of Arlington don't want to be slowed down for 2 or 3 minutes behind some bus for this poor guy or poor lady who lives on 360 and Park Road, but got to get to Collins and Lamar, man, to work, you know. They don't want that, but you know what? That's what these people here created. They created that by not ever wanting mass transit here because it brings that negative element or whatever. It helps poor people get somewhere, man, to where they're going, man, is what it does. No, you don't need it because you got that Mercedes out front and everything's cool. But you know what? You, in my opinion, Mr. or Mrs. Mercedes guy, you can wait 2 or 3 minutes for that bus to stop and let those people out, or get those people on the bus. And our streets aren't structured for buses. They aren't. But that's just tough. You know, they should have created them back then. You held off for so long. You said no for so long. Now guess what you got? Yeah. But when you're going down Park Road and the right lane has to stop and let the bus people out, and you have to stop for a couple minutes, don't be sitting there griping. Be sitting there glad that you don't have to. The poor unfortunate people had to ride that bus to get to where the heck they're going. So,
if elected, would you make transportation a priority of yours?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Mass transit is definitely needed here. And what we had to do is we just had to run the buses. And if it inconvenienced some folks, tough. Because you should have thought about that years ago when you were building the structure of this city. So now we're going to have to pick up your mess and we're going to have to correct it. You know, and so from then on, when we build the streets, you know, they would have bus lanes. They would be built with bus lanes. Collins now probably the only street that could handle it in our city, you know. But yeah, you know, and just start there. And the inconvenience that we have, you know, from buses, well, tough, you know. And you know, don't think about the poor person that had to ride that bus, man. Shut up, be happy, and go on home, you know. And then give everybody a shot, man, at this American dream, man, we got here. So yeah, busing to me is a very important issue. I don't know where you'd start to try to implement the process, but I would ask some folks that had better handle on the situation than I did. But I think it's definitely needed. Nice. Not these little innovative ideas we come up with. In other words, a bunch of bullcorn we come up with to try to fend off having buses.
So how do you feel about Governor Abbott's rescinding his restrictions on mask mandates and opening up capacity?
I think it's insane. We're going through a very serious pandemic. People dying. 525,000 we're up to now. It's not time. Of course, as soon as, you know, these other red states, Wyoming and stuff, seeing him do it, they felt emboldened to jump on out there too, you know. So there's a domino effect right there that just hopefully we'll get everybody vaccinated. I can't wait to get my vaccination. They just now did the 50 and older thing, because see, I'm 60, so I didn't fit under the 65 and older thing, but I fit under 50 and older. Nice. And I will be down there. My girl's already got hers. She got the Pfizer.
Oh yeah.
But no, I don't agree with it. I think we should follow medical people's guidelines, which of course our country's CDC. So
yes, nice. So moving into some more community-based questions, most of East Arlington is made up of Black and Hispanic people. How can leadership prevent gentrification while still making sure that the area receives needed renovations?
When you mention gentrification, I would say, you know, that would be something I would have to study and know more about. I know they took down the cinema plaza there. They used to be in Park Plaza. You old enough to remember the cinema being there? Yeah. You are? Cool. And I think it should have been restored just like the downtown. Downtown was first and Park Plaza was second. Once upon a time, Park Plaza was like the hippest shopping center, modern, yes. like the Highlands, let's say today.
Okay.
It would have been a Highlands of today.
Wow.
It once upon a time was. It had a big slide next to the Dairy Queen over there, and you slid down that thing on them gunny sacks. But you know, they tore that down. I mean, recently they tore down Hugh Smith Rec Center. You know, I spent a lot of hours in Hugh Smith Rec Center. I always loved that pool, and the only inside pool in Arlington, you know, like that. You know, it was always dark in there, but it was still a pool. You know, it wasn't sunny like your normal pool. So I would have to, you know, I'd have to know what monuments over there, because I grew up on the east side myself, mean something to people. What are they? Help me. What monuments do you see that we should save for cultural reasons?
I would just say maybe more so people's houses and things like that, like people's houses that they grew up in, and so maybe instead of just tearing them completely down, trying to renovate them in some way. You know,
oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, we definitely got to do that. You know, I thought
certain buildings and things too. So.
Right there on Park Plaza too, where that big building is, that used to be a bank right there, and it was the First National Bank of Arlington. And I still got a money bag from it. Yeah, you remember the money bags that had a zipper across the top like that? I got them. I got one from that place right there when it was a bank. Park Plaza was so cool. I know one time we did go over there recently and painted a lot of stuff, and then, you know, within 2 weeks the gang signs were all still covering it again. Do you remember when we went over there and painted it at Park Plaza?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we would. Several of us artistic people down here, you know, like the painting on the outside over there. You know how everything downtown is going to be painted cool before it's over. The graffiti cool, you know. And we will too within the next year when we get our government grant. We gonna paint the shed, paint the barn.
Nice. So let's see. Let's talk a little bit about taxes. Arlington residents and business owners have expressed frustration about increased taxes. Do you have any solutions to lower taxes or decrease concern for residents and business owners?
Well, the recent increase was last year, the EDC, wasn't it? And they, I don't know if that's going to ever reach any fruition or not, or what kind of time length they gave on that. Most of ours, as you know, have been for the entertainment district, you know. The stadiums and all that stuff there. I mean, that's where we went from 6 something to 8 1/4 where we are now. But me, now, see, I enjoy having the stadiums here. And I also think that it, you know, has a lot of positive effect. You know, right? People get jobs, they work there, right? They you know, the businesses around those places do well. Obviously, Texas Live is bullied their way in there, yeah. So. But that's a good thing, man. There's always a good thing for everything, because this is a sports bar, and Texas Live come along, and all the sports bar people want to go hang at the new shiny toy, you know. So guess what? We're pretty much a live music venue now, yeah. You know, which has been great, which is what needs to happen down here, you know, downtown Arlington. I definitely completely separate downtown Arlington with the entertainment district. To me, these are the artsy people down here. Over there, that's the yuppie people, you know. And that's just how I look at it. I know that's a generalization, but we got our own thing going on down here.
Good.
Different from the entertainment district.
So moving into some more policing issues, there was a study done by the Unity Council that showed that black people in Arlington were policed and ticketed about 37.5% of the time, even though black people make up a smaller portion of Arlington. This is an ongoing problem that many black people, including myself, have and continue to deal with. If elected as mayor, how can you solve the problem of this disparity where black people in Arlington are getting policed and ticketed more than others?
It's the same thing that we was talking about a minute ago, you know. I definitely believe in police reform. I'm not, I mean, look at me. I'm not some guy that's just bullcorning. I believe in police reform. I believe that each and every officer needs to be talked to at length by HR people of some sort, whether it be you, whether it be me, whether it be both of us and 5 more people. You know, they need to understand, just quit harassing people, man, because they're not like you. We don't want to be like you. You have the right to be you. You're an American. Be you all day long, man. Let us be us, whoever we are, man. And so it's just, there's no easy solution to their question. You know that. And, we're going to do this and we'll fix it up right quick, That ain't the way it works. We just gotta, man, we got to be involved with those officers, man. We've got to know each and every one. We need to know this man, this lady. We need to know you. I need to talk to you once a month. This line of people need to talk to you once a month. And also, this is the other thing that's it's a pain in the rear to do it, but we need to go down there to the police station and make a complaint every time those things happen. Because if we don't, that sucker rides free reign. And yeah, who wants to waste 2 hours of their time going there and going, hey man, man, I need to make a complaint, bro. Where's the complaint section right here? Complaint box is around the corner, man. Throw it in there. No, but I mean, nobody wants to do that. I mean, nobody wakes up today going, I can't wait to get something happen to me so I can go make a complaint down at the police station. But we need to, and that way, because not, every officer, they're not gonna get in trouble if they just have 1 complaint or 2 complaints. But if they have a line of 20 or 25 complaints, man, somebody needs to open an eye to that and go, hey, there's a bad trend here with this cat, man. It can't be just everybody, You must have a rough approach to what you deal with people, whatever, at the least, or you're just, bad at the very worst, Yeah, I would, by all means, recommend black people definitely, as well as anybody, myself, they just do what they want. I'll give you an incident. I lived on Highland as recent as 2014, I think it was. You know where Highland is?
I think so.
It's right there off Mitchell.
Yes.
Right there by Coke. You pass Coke, and then there's Highland on the right.
Yes.
And then they built a new park right there. It was really nice, So they made that nicer there. And of course, they need to modernize all those homes over there, and whatever form or fashion they could do it. Here I'm splitting off into another story. But I was telling you about the one cop. He said that they had a welfare check at our house. And I'm telling him, dude, you ain't coming in my house. I'm not opening the door for you. He said, if you don't open this door, I'm going to break it down. We need to make sure so-and-so in here is all right. There's been a call. And I had to open the door to this guy. And then, of course, he bum rushed the whole place and everything like that. And he was just treating us rough, And I made the mistake, of saying, man, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to make a report on you tomorrow, man. You believe that, Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? He told him and conferred with the lady. Next thing you know, she goes in a room in there of this lady that's living with us and comes out with 2 pipes. Here you go. You still gonna go out there and make a complaint on me tomorrow? No, sir. I will not. No, sir. I shall not make a complaint. I'm sorry. I even brought it up. I must be crazy. And I was crazy because you're like warning the opposing team that you're fixed to attack, And so you got to keep that all inside, I think, and sit there and just deal with it as best you can. But then, man, take that hour or 2 that it takes and go down there and make that complaint on them. Officer Tom Jones did such, conducted in such manner. And But they're also police reform, man. You know, like I said, that's the number one thing. I've been bullied by the police so many times. That guy, I merely make a statement to him. I'm going to make a report against him tomorrow, and he goes there and finds pipes. You know, he can come out and he can arrest me for it. You know, of course they're weed pipes. They weren't even in my room, but you know, he just let me know who's boss. You know, you go down and make a complaint on me if you want to. I'm fixing to take you to jail for these here pipes.
What do you think causes black people to have more types of force or use of force used against them from police? Because also in the Unity study, it showed that black people had firearms pointed at them about 589 times. White people about 345 times, Hispanic people about 373 times. So what do you think is the cause of black people having more firearms pointed at them just in the city of Arlington and more uses of force?
The truth is, with racism, is white people are scared of black people. It's just that simple, and you know this. They're just already apprehensive to begin with. Just like a lot of times black people are very apprehensive toward white people. You know, it's like, oh hell, here, what's going to happen now? I'm dealing with this belligerent idiot. You know, what terrible road are we going to go down? But you know, white people are thinking the same thing. They're scared of black people. That's just the truth. I mean, I'm not going to say anything, but it's also a sense, I think, that black people are pissed off toward white people too. That they've been treated terribly for so long that when they see a white guy, it's like, all right, man. You know, and I think sometimes black people do have attitudes toward white people without any type of interaction with that person at all because of what they've dealt with in the past. You know, and now white people are seeing, you know, that, hey man, you know, black people ain't gonna be treated like no secondary citizen, man. They're gonna be treated like a real citizen, or you're gonna catch some flack from a jack. And that being the case, you know, I think that scares people. You know, I think it does. It's like, okay, they're out to show me, and I'm out to show them, and we just had it's a horrible situation that we've got ourselves into. You know, there's no doubt about it, and there's no easy solution when it comes to race. It always goes back to the police, though, to me. You know, I mean, you keep asking me these police type of questions, and man, I mean, that's right up my alley. You know, because I'm just, I like I said, I've never been black one day in my life. I've never been Hispanic one day in my life. But I'm a long-haired dude, and I don't really think like a lot of the conservative people, and so I do get harassed, and I don't like it, man. I mean, you know, one time in Granbury, I was arrested for driving under the influence of drugs. I'm driving down the road, hair flying out the thing, you know, this redneck cop made a U-turn, and he already had his car full of people he's arrested. I mean, I can still remember the guy's name, Jack Crane. You know, I mean, I hated him for years. I still had my license in my hand when he was beating my head on the hot hood, you know, and he had my hair, had me by the back of the hair, and he's beating me on the hood, and I was going, dude, it's hot. And I still get, because I'm out like this, I stuck my, he told me to get out of the car, and I had my ID like this, and he just grabbed my arm and slung me around like that. Couldn't put my head down on the thing, you know. And he was thinking I was going to be drunk, you know, but he tested my drink, and it was just straight Sprite. Yeah. So he tells me, you must be on drugs then. You don't drive on drugs on my highway, boy. And I was like, no, man, I'm not on drugs, man. What's wrong with you, dude? And he took me to jail for driving under influence of drugs. Now, so since I'm on drugs, well, quite naturally, I got to go in the drunk tank. So I go in the drunk tank, and there's about 5 or 6 redneck and hillbilly cowboys in there. They start whistling at me and all this old stuff, you know. So next thing you know, I'm in there fighting 3 or 4 cowboys. Come on, you damn cowboys! I'm in the corner. I've got them, you know. And I nailed 2 or 3 of them, you know. And finally, them cops looked through the window. They over there laughing, man. They got a kick out of that. Like, come on, man, get out of here, you damn knucklehead. And put me in the female side because fortunately there was no females in the jail that night, and so I mean, man, I've been harassed, you know, and so I can just imagine what it feels. I mean, I can only imagine what it feels like, you know. But I mean, that's why police reform means a lot to me, man, and not just turning around and being mean to them either, you know, but just finding out. Mr. Boss there, sorry, boss. Finding out who the bad ones are, man, and get rid of them. There needs to be a thorough process. I think Ross said there was 37 or 35 different programs, you know, sensitivity programs, you know, and stuff like that. But just hands-on leadership, man. I think from everybody. From, let's see, now we have a black police chief. You know, the Hispanic people, the Asian people, the white people, man. You should, if you're a white person, you need to go through the gauntlet of Asian people. You need to go through the gauntlet of black people. And when I say gauntlet, I mean thorough study done on you by these various groups of people, man, who we picked as an oversight committee, or to make sure that you realize that this here is not right, man. Treat the black person just like you treat anybody else, man. Treat the long-haired guy just like you treat anybody else. Treat everybody, man, good until you see that they're bad. And then if you had to take appropriate action on bad actions, I mean, you know, we do need that in our society, of course, you know, for people who are doing bad. But, man, you know, I mean, that kid, like the Elijah Cummings kid up there in Colorado, that one really hurt me hard, you know?
Yeah.
Just this nerdy kid, you can tell he's just a goofball nerd, man. He's just rolling down, man. What? Come on, dude, leave me alone, man. Bam, he's on the ground, bam, he's dead, you know? And so, yeah, man, it sucks, and it sucks 100%. But I tell you one thing, and I want to say this for sure. I'm not a black person, but if I was the mayor of this city, any black person that felt like they were mistreated by the police, under any circumstance, I would want to say my door is wide open to you to come in there and say, hey, man, you ain't gonna believe it, man, but Thursday night, I'm going down 303, man, and it went down like this, and this cop put it down like this, man. Man, and there might be a lot you can do, but I can go down and rattle some cages, man, and make sure, you know, the same thing with the brown man, same with the long-haired man, same thing with the Asian people. You know, if you're Hispanic, and you know, I'm not going to ask you for your ID. The bottom line is you treat, you know, a lot of people are afraid to come forward because they're worried about their citizenship, so they just get abused, you know, and just they're silent abuse victims, you know, which is horrible too in itself, you know. So I would say the first thing I'd do is say to any person that felt like they were mistreated by the police, man, come down there and talk to me. Man, I'm going to put you in my Jaguar, man, and we're going to roll down to the police station. We're going to talk to them. Did you, Detective so-and-so, write all these things on this case? Where did you get this from? We'll get this as much as we can, you know. We'll walk around, you know, might not, you know. But if we knock off a couple, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 cases of somebody that didn't deserve a case, you know, exactly, on their thing, you know, hey, that's worth 2 years right there, you know. So.
And each case changes someo's life, so.
It does, man, sure, drastically, you know. So, I mean, I definitely would say that anybody's door, you know, there's a lot of good guys in this race. You got Kelly Burke. He's trying to out conservative Ross, which is like a trip, you know. I'm like, damn. So I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to kind of cancel each other out. I like Mr. Sutton. He's a real cool dude, man. You know, I like Mr. Sutton. If I wasn't running, I'd probably vote for Mr. Sutton. I'm not afraid to say that, you know. I mean, I think he's a cool dude, you know. I don't really know the Ocampo cat. It don't seem like he's showing up or anything. Have y'all been able to get a hold of him or anything?
I think we're interviewing him later. Yeah.
You are, and I hadn't seen him show up at anything. And then, you know, you got Dwayne Washington, Mr. Washington there, and Mr. Glaspie. I think those people are more prone to say, hey, let's pray about it, you know, or something like that. They're more religious based, you know. I say, you know, let's pray about it, and then let's go down there and give them hell, man, you know, and let's go down there and talk to them. Why did this happen? I want to know why this happened. Why this man was driving down 303, and next thing you know, he's in some handcuffs, man, and he's charged these charges. I want to know why. He says it didn't go down like that. He came to me and talked to me. I'm going to uncover every stone I could to make sure that those people that had the guts to stand up to them bullies come down there, and we'll go see what we can get done, you know. And I promise that's not bullcorn. That'd make my day.
Yeah.
I can go Clint Eastwood on them on that, you know. Make my day, man. Please come down here and tell me some belligerent mean cop did to you, man. Let's go. We'll go down there and uncover the stones.
Exactly.
And find out what the heck's going on with it.
So moving into some other questions about education, what are your stances on alternative paths for students who don't wish to pursue a college degree?
If you're passionate, man, about something, you're going to educate yourself because you want to be as good as you can be in that particular field, because that's what you're passionate, or is where your passion is. I think of a Pantera song, you know, when you ask me that question. It's called Strength Beyond Strength. And you know, my grandfather was a millionaire, and he didn't get out of junior high school. So, now of course, you know, he's an old white guy, you know, and of course he had a fair shot, you know, back then, you know, and I know in those times, black people didn't get no fair shot at all, you know. But today, hopefully, you know, we get everybody has a little more fair shot, you know, than they once did. Obviously, the playing field's not equal. But education-wise, I mean, you know, education covers the full gamut of activities that you might want to, you know, do in life. So why, you know, if you want to educate yourself in an alternative manner, just on your own. I mean, I love music, man. I'm gonna go check it out. You know, once upon a time, I didn't know anything really about Sly and the Family Stone, and now I know a lot about Sly and the Family Stone, man. I love Sly. Y'all know anything about Sly Stone? Sly Stone is cool, man.
What is that?
They, you know, everybody's got to categorize everybody, but so they categorized Sly as funk back then, and this little funk phase of music we had there. But I don't necessarily think it needs or calls for a label. It was just groovy music. It's always positive. The dude talks about. I think a lot of people too think that Earth, Wind and Fire wrote Everybody Is a Star, but Sly wrote that, right? But and then they did it later, right? Because it's such a great song. You heard that song? Everybody is a star. That's Sly Stone. Another, a lot of songs you probably don't know him. Everyday People. You remember that?
Yeah.
Everyday people. There goes the white man. It doesn't like the black man. It's cool. Different strokes. Different. That's why I was having her play that, because I love that, man. And Thank You. There's a song by Sly called Thank You. It's called Thank You for letting me be myself again. And that's just a groovy, you know. I think that's what everybody wants, right? Yeah. And when you're cruising down 303 and you see that cop, you don't be like, you just want to crank it up. Yeah. Thank you for letting me be myself today, pal. Rock on, man. Exactly. Do your thing, you know. Because when I pull up to a cop, I don't start doing that, man. I'm past that. I'm like, yeah, or whatever, you know what. I'm probably listening to metal. Yeah, you know, I look at him and go, you know, I'm gonna be myself, man. You ain't gonna make me shrivel up, yeah. You know. And that's what we've all been doing my whole life. God, you should have seen how things were in the '60s. All the people looked the same black suit, breeches, white shirt, a tie, you know. And then all these people started turning into long hairs and stuff, and they were just like shocked, you know. So we've been trying to all just be ourselves, man, for so long, you know. We just want to be left alone, be ourselves, as long as we're not harming anyone. leave us alone, man. You know?
Exactly. So moving into a question about apartment rentals across Arlington. It says apartment rental rates and cost of living have increased over the past decade, even though pay wages have not increased. If elected, would you make housing or more affordable housing a priority?
I think, you know, I'd probably need more information on a question like that. I still rent, and I'm so fortunate. I got a 2-bedroom duplex in downtown Arlington for $675 a month. I tell people that, they're freaking out. You know, I got a 2-bedroom duplex in downtown Arlington. I've been there 5 years. I mean, why would I leave? You know, that park place really looks good right there. But I don't know. Are our housing prices more than most places, or are we about even?
I just think that they're increasing, and so that's what's like causing concern for like a lot of residents, is that they're just steady increasing, and a lot of people can't afford the high rent rates at some of these apartments now. So just because like their jobs and stuff, or jobs that they have here or anywhere else, don't pay enough. So.
Well, of course, you know, we were hoping for that $15 minimum wage, which would have at least been some sort of help with people, man. We had to end up backing off of that, you know, at the last minute. Let me tell you for sure, if I had my brothers, you know, I would have voted for Bernie, you know. I mean, I did vote for Bernie in the Democratic primary, and I believe in more progressive ideas. I mean, they call them progressive. They just seem like common sense to me. It always seems so funny to me that you have to be left-wing radical or something. I'm not radical.
Yeah.
I just want equal treatment.
Yeah.
What's so radical about that? What makes me so liberal? You know, for one, it's such a shame, you know, because a lot of our, you know, no, I don't think anybody is all liberal and has no conservative values. We have conservative values, and we have what's deemed to be liberal values, and to me, what is deemed to be liberal a lot of times is just common sense stuff. I mean, why aren't we fighting for these things when it should already be there? It should be just. And then I'm not a liberal. I'm not a liberal because I don't want you to pull me out of the car and beat me up, man. You know, I'm just another guy, man, going down the road. You know, so. It is funny, you know, I'm definitely not for anybody being priced out of our city, you know, I mean, you know, and that's the way it's always been too with cities. I don't think it's just Arlington, you know, because a lot of, you know, those more rural areas, the prices are cheaper. They just are, you know. If you go rent a house down there, you know, in Alvarado, it's going to be more if you rent one in Arlington, you know. And I think, I don't know, man, just when you get closer to the action, if it closer to the action, it costs a little bit more to stay closer to the action, you know. If you, and to, you know, price people out just, you know, just because I would have to know more on that topic, but it's an interesting topic, though. It's popping up all kind of little bulbs in my mind. I'm thinking to myself, well, whoa, what about that? And what would, yeah, you know, and so I haven't experienced it. So a lot of times when you don't experience something, you know, you don't, you know, know a lot, but I could definitely say for sure I wish we would have gotten a $15 minimum wage in there, and that could have helped a lot of folks stay in homes, I'm sure, in our city. But other than that, I would have to know more about it. But I wouldn't be against you coming to my office and say, look here, dude, we got to take care of this situation here. This is the way it is. These people are getting priced out of their homes. Man, what I'd say to you, help me, man. What is it we can do to keep, what's the steps to take, you know?
Exactly.
That's always just, you know, to me, that's, you always just got to be open to be able to listen to somebody, man. You want to come to my office and say, hey, man, this is so bad, da-da-da. You know, and then you listen, you listen to people. You don't know everything and haven't been through it, but you also know that's a human being and their needs are being brought to your attention, and so you damn well ought to address them, you know.
All right, so moving into our last couple of questions. So these questions are going to be a little bit tougher. So there was a Star Telegram article by journalist Kaylee Boussard that was published about your criminal history. Should voters have any concern about your past?
I don't think voters should have any concerns about my past. I think voters should have concerns about anyone who was convicted of the charges I was convicted of. If they don't know you, personally, certainly you should take those things into consideration by all means. But I think you should also take into consideration that those people, I'd been known in this town for a long time. I'd been public enemy number one in this town for a long time. When I had Rascals, when we opened the first metal club, they never really cared about it till city council members' daughters came home at 4 or 5 in the morning with hickeys on their neck, talking about I was at the concert, man, the metal concert. And then they started worrying about it. They'd pull a paddy wagon down there every weekend. Every weekend. They'd fill it up, and then they would figure out what they were going to charge them when they got down there. If they were drunk, they'd get up for public intox. If they were not drunk, they'd get up for disorderly conduct. It was a deterrent for people to go there to that club. So I was guilty of several things, and then the police also added more stuff to the situation and kept piling it on me. The lady was my girlfriend of 4 years. And she made 4 different statements right after the incident, and then each one of them just was more and more stuff, It seemed like they were just down there saying, well, how did you do this? They were just like trying to, and then I still would never sign for a sex offense. I would not do it. And so I pled to kidnapping. It really should have just been assault. I assaulted my girlfriend. I should have been felony assault. It was bad enough to be felony assault. I should have been charged with felony assault. They wanted to somehow twist it into sex crime. I told them I wasn't going to sign for no sex crime. So we met in the middle on kidnapping. And you can go look at the date, and I think it's 201. But it could be 99, because we just have our legislature every other year. On the odd year, but kidnapping was made a sex crime after the fact for me. They applied it to me retroactively, which again, I think that's unfair. Because when you sit down and you make a plea agreement, okay, Judge, Your Honor, I'm signing that I did this, here's this plea agreement. 5 years later, they changed it and make your crime a sex crime. They called me down to the office in the prison one time, told me, hey man, your crime's gonna be a sex crime now from now on, And I'm like, I bucked it the whole way, of course. They even tried to get DNA from me one time, and I refused, and they weren't going to take no for an answer. And so anyone who's charged with those crimes, anybody should have concern by all means. And then I think anybody should have concerns. I don't like sex offenders. I don't like weirdos or creepos or anything that want to prey on women or anything like that. That's totally not me. And you can ask my girl over here. We're the one that keeps all the grandkids. The grandkids get dropped off at our place because we're good people. And I hope to be removed from the sex offender registry. I don't want to die a sex offender. That's good. That's one thing for sure. And I haven't been in trouble since I've been home. 11 and a half years I've been home. Hadn't had a traffic ticket. I changed. I was just a knucklehead that was cruising along, listening to Ghetto Boys a little too much. Want to be the tough guy, and always carrying a pistol and all this old type of stuff. And next thing you know, I seen that's pretty like a dead end road. It's going to take you to the prison or to the cemetery. Fortunately for me, it took me to the prison, and I was able to get some structure in my life. It's very weird, people think that it was a positive experience for me in so many ways. It helped me to realize, and I got along in there just fine, And it's very racial in the penitentiary.
Very segregated and everything.
Black, brown, and white. Mm-hmm. And you go ask anybody who was there. Oh, Jerry got along with all of them. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And keep your respect too, because you can be punked, so I got along with everybody without being punked, which was, it's because people can always tell, man, that I'm a real dude. And I thought that lady did cool on the article. And if it becomes the only issue, registered sex offender runs for mayor. If that's the only issue, if that's the main issue, then it's not going to come positive from it, and they'll get their way. And they wanted to, get somebody like me out of the way that would actually stir things up, and I would stir things up. I think there were a lot of things wrong with my case. Just one of them, off the top of my head, is the detective married an ex-girlfriend of mine during the process. I didn't have a crime against a female ever, so they had to go back and interview ex-girlfriends, and I think it's 2 or 3 that they interviewed to see if I had any pattern of this violence toward women, And in this process of interviewing my exes, one of them named, I probably shouldn't say her name, married the detective. I think he should have recused himself from the case, once he had feelings for her, because that just made him just go hard at me, and really just piled on all that old bullcorn. But I'll tell you, straight and simple, I'm not no weirdo or creepo dude, and I'll tell you, I shouldn't be on the sex offender registry. I should have been charged with felony assault. I deserved the 15 years I did in prison. But I could also say another thing too. They were going to allow me to leave on parole about 13 months before my sentence was over with, but I had to go to the sex offender treatment program. So I went to it with high hopes, but of course, as soon as you get there, you find out what the rules are, and then the first rule is you got to admit guilt to what you've done, so that you can admit guilt and then get past that and start working on your problem or whatever, which is understandable, but I wasn't going to admit to any guilt of a sex crime. And so I got booted out of there, and I ended up staying in prison another 13 months because I would not admit to committing a sex crime. And I still, before my beautiful grandmother, say I did not commit a sex crime. I assaulted my girlfriend. I was wrong. She ran off for the whole weekend. If that count, that don't count. I was supposed to be a man and say, okay, when they get back, I can do all that now. I've had breakups, since I've been home. I can sit down and say, okay, well, you ran off the weekend. Obviously, we're not doing so good. So, what are we gonna do? But then, I couldn't handle it. We didn't have any cell phones back then or anything. She called me like less than an hour before she left to work, saying I'm on my way home. See you in a bit. And then she never showed up. But me and my 2 daughters are there, and we're going to go to Chuck E. Cheese, and they're all saying, why are we going to Chuck E. Cheese, Dad? And I'm like, well, we can't go nowhere yet. And hadn't showed up. I probably shouldn't say her name. I hope that in her heart, because I'm going to apply to be removed, file a motion to be removed from the sex offender registry. And I hope that she will be cool with it, I won't contact her, obviously, because that would be uncool, but your attorney can. Find out, hey, did you find out how she feels? And I said another thing that really made me feel good too. I've never told anybody this, especially publicly, but she liked one of my pictures on Facebook about 2 years ago. And it was a picture of me and my granddaughter, and I'm holding my granddaughter, and she liked it, you know. And I changed my whole day because I saw that name. I'm like, wow, man, she might think that I'm gonna be all right, you know. All she really wanted was for me to be changed, for me to be all right, for me to get help, and I got it. And so, yeah, when it, you know, I hope when it comes time for me to file the motion to be removed, that she'll say I'm okay with that, you know.
Nice.
The dude's been groovy, you know. He's caused me no problems. And I'm hopeful there. Like I said, I got that one little, like, it ain't much, you know, it ain't nothing. She probably accidentally hit it, probably wish she didn't, you know. You mean, she probably tried, but you can't unlike something, you know, you done liked it, you know. So that meant she was looking at my pictures, you know, and every once in a while, every year or two, I'll go over and look at her Facebook page, and she's married and doing good, and talk about all these cool things she's doing, you know. And I'm like, yeah, you know. Hope you found a guy that treats you good, man, you know, the way you deserve, you know. And so, yeah, I can understand those concerns, and if they make that the biggest issue, obviously I'll get railroaded out and won't never, you know, none of my other concerns or issues will mean anything, you know. So we'll see how that goes, how that progresses over time.
Do you see yourself having a future in politics? Like win or lose the election, do you see yourself still involved or anything?
Yes, I've got to be. I mean, it means something to me. I'm just not a belligerent guy out there yelling, blah, 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 you know. I mean, I'm really concerned. You know, I want to see things right in our country. We've come in our city, you know, and too, we've come a long way, man. We've come a long way. I seen it, you know. I seen the 70s.
Yeah.
And it was ugly, man, for a lot of people. And we've come a long way, man, but we got to take it across the finish line and get it right, you know. And so many people are sticking in it, so many people are changing, you know. I mean, when Kaepernick, you know, first started protesting the anthem, he might have been Satan or the Antichrist or whatever, you know. And then now you got all the way to Commissioner Goodell, you know, saying that we support you, you know, man, and we understand where you're coming from now, you know. And yeah, man. Yeah, and a sickening image of that Chauvin dude, man, with his knee on George Floyd's neck. It's just like horribly sickening, man. You know, it's just like that really happens in the United States, man. I want to drive up there and stand on the corner, you know, and protest. And I'll tell you the truth, I walked in all the protests we had here in this city. Now some of them youngsters, man, go, look, I looked the back of the stack the whole way, but I still got the videos right here. I walked in them, I sit down there on Cooper Street in Mitchell, man, right in the middle of the street as people were honking and everything else, you know. And then the younger guys were in control. All right, guys, now we're going back down to Division Street. And I'm like, man, that's a long walk. All right, let's go. All right, guys, now we're going back downtown to Abrams. They'd stop and they'd have a little, did you go on any of them?
Yeah, I went to some.
Yeah, you know, they'd stop and, like, you know, at the intersection and say some of the things that they, you know, they were on their minds, you know, and then they would take off back down this way, you know. And I tried, I kept up a couple times. I walked on home and, man, can't keep up with them youngsters, man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so old, but yeah, I'm not ashamed. I'm proud. What do I know? I'm not ashamed. I'm proud I walked in the marches, you know. I mean, that we all seen that, man, and we've all seen it too many times, man. It's like I said, that Elijah Cummings kid, that bugs me the most, you know, because that kid was just like, you know, harm, obviously, you know. I mean, and George Floyd, you know, he could beat somebody up, you know, and he's probably not no wimp, you know. He'd probably go, you know. But that don't mean he should have been treated like he was treated, of course. But it's just even worse when it's just a, you know, little bitty guy like Elijah Cummings, man. That one, I cried so much. I cry when I watch it still today, you know. It's sickening, man. You know, the cops, they just sit over you and sit there contemplating, okay, there he goes. Should we jack with him? Should we get him? I don't know, yeah. All right, let's get him, man. And then decide, you know, people need to be changed, man.
Yeah.
I accepted change. I accepted change from who I was as a human being, as a tough guy, and all that bullcorn. Yeah, those people need to change too, man. We need to change.
Well, speaking of some changes, though, if elected, where do you want to see Arlington by the time that you leave office?
I'd like to see Arlington with cite and release implemented, and I would like to see Arlington police nicer than they are today. Be nice, man. Peace, love. Be nice, man. I once wasn't that guy either, you know. I used to think I was a tough guy. There's a tough guy on every block, man, you know. And, you know, that's nothing, man, you know. Yeah, man, I would like to see Arlington's police reformed. I'd like to speak to every one of them. And I would like a whole line of people to speak to every one of them. If it was a white guy, I would like black groups to speak with them on a regular basis in some form or fashion. If it's a white guy, he should speak with Hispanic groups on a regular basis. If it's a black guy, he should speak with Hispanic groups on a regular basis. He should speak with Asian groups on a regular basis to understand them, people understand where they're coming from and, you know, what they want,
Exactly.
what their hopes and dreams are for Arlington. But I would like to see our police just be nicer, man. Just be nicer. You got a great job, man. You get paid good.
Yeah.
Man, you want to come home to your family just like everybody on these streets want to go home to their family. Be nicer, man. You're probably going to get there, you know. And every once in a while, somebody will take advantage of it, you know, and then you have to stud on up. But let that be your last resort, you know. Let that be the very last resort. There'll be no other choices left, man. But, man, we just got to do it, you know. We got to, this guy right here, he's got a tire tool in his hand. He's trying to beat my brains out, you know. We're going to have to take him down, you know. But the whole idea of any, we need to have a registry, right, of people who have mental problems, who have mental issues. And then when that call comes in from 911, and they say, okay, that's old Bob over there, man, he's going crazy again, you know. Man, send a counselor out with them officers, you know. Or if we don't have a staff of counselors on call, then we need to have one. I don't know whether we do or not. I can't tell you. But we need to have one. We need to have it. Hey, man, send this guy out here, send this lady out here. They know how to deal with this thing, man, and see if they can de-escalate the situation. Let the bullying part be the last part, you know, the last. That's what I would like to see in our city, man. I would like to see the police be decent to all people. Black people, brown people, long-haired people. Everybody. The Asian people, man, the Asian people. We got a great large Asian population in our. Did I already tell you too that I went to school with the first Asian cat from Vietnam that came over here? He was in high school when I was in high school. His name was Tom, and I'm still friends with him today. He lives over there. Yeah. But now their community is so large, you know, in here, and it's groovy, man. I you know, who would ever thought I'd be driving down Park Road, 303, and see these grocery stores that is language on it that I don't know one word of what it's saying or anything, you know what I mean? But that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Exactly. There's no problem with that. And so, yeah, I would like to see the police be nice to people, man. I feel like I've been a victim of the police, and I know what it feels like to be a victim of mean, bully police. And I would like to see people not have to deal with those things, man, and with some of those steps that I mentioned earlier. That's the biggest thing for me. It would really be nice to see mass transit implemented in this city too, man, where people can get to their jobs and stuff. People don't understand via, you know, they got to get an app and all that. They don't understand all that, man. You know, they're simple people, man. And sometimes, a lot of times, that doesn't mean they're lesser than anybody. They just might not understand an app. You know, but they understand where that bench is down there on New York, man, and Park Row. They know where that bench is. They know if they're down there at 8 o'clock, they can get to that place over there where they're going by 9:30 with the doctor's appointments or whatever, you know. And for old Big Boss Ross to sit there and say, oh, it's just because we're so innovative here in Arlington. Yeah, it ain't because we're innovative, dude. It's because you've been jacking the poor people forever, man, and you don't want to see them. You don't have to stop every once in a while on your way to that $150 dinner. You don't have to stop for 2 minutes to let that poor couple out that just worked all day, man, trying to get back home. So I'd love to see mass transit implemented in our city. True mass transit, not these different hokey things they come up with.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand. Hell, I don't even understand it. I don't understand VI. I could if I looked into it, obviously. I could. But you got any more of them hard questions for me?
I just have 3 more questions from our viewers. So the first one is going to be from Arlington Urban Viewer and Arlington rapper Free Game Griff. He asked, what would make your time in office unique?
Look at me. They ain't never had no dude down there at the office looking like me. Never. So they ain't never had no people that's like anti-bully police as I am. They're shivering their boots, man. A lot of them when they see an old guy like me. Oh, you got that old fun saying, y'all. I know y'all know it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. You know, yeah, man. You know, it'd be quite a change. I think unique is a more quaint way of saying it. I think when it comes to me, I think. Yeah, I think I'd shake them up, you know.
Nice.
I think I'd shake them up.
All right, so our next question is going to be from Arlington Urban Viewer D. Powell. She asked, how do you plan to incorporate the city's plans of creating local markets, access to safe public spaces, and community hubs for people of color to feel welcomed in the downtown area?
When you say market, do you mean like a food market or?
Yes, like fresh, like small grocers, fresh foods, local markets.
Mm-hmm. Do you think black people in general would like markets that were? Is there a certain amount of? I don't know, have we integrated to the extent to where there's no really black foods anymore?
I think that, you know, black people, we eat all different types of foods, so.
I mean, there's not like soul food anymore.
Yeah, we still eat soul food too, but you know, you have like your black vegans and like, you know, vegetarians.
And that's the worst thing too, man, about people, man, is they try to bulk everybody into a group, especially black people. You know that.
Yeah.
You know it as good as I do. All black people like this. All people. You just mentioned, you know, black vegan. You know what I mean? They wouldn't think black people are vegans. You know, all black people. You know, I tell you what. I tell you, we do have one black owner down here. I know Hershey. Have you met Hershey over there?
No, I haven't.
No. He makes the best greens I ever tasted. Costs $4 for a side of greens, and they rock. He's right over here. He's on Abram Street. Y'all ain't never heard of him, Hershey? Yeah, Hershey's rocking, man. Have you went there and got any of them greens yet? Yeah, he specializes in greens, man. That's his thing. Pizza. See, black people aren't supposed to eat pizza. They're supposed to go down there and, you know what I mean?
I eat pizza, you know.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? You know, it's a way that it's cloned. You know how people are. You know, I do know Hershey's down here, and
how can we like incorporate maybe more businesses that like he owns, you know, or just like, I don't know if you've been to like Dallas Farmers Market or like different things like that, you know?
We have this little old market over here, and of course I've never been to it, but I passed by it, so I really don't know that much about it. We do all our shopping at Kroger, and I know one thing too. I know that the Levitt Pavilion needs to open up a little bit. Do you guys ever get any local rap artists able to play Levitt?
No, I don't think there's been one. But.
Hey, you got a laugh on the periphery over here. I love it. I feel the same way. What do you think when I go and I want metal? I want just one annual metal fest. Hell no. Can we get this guy here? Yeah, I can't get nowhere with the Levitt people, you know. I mean, they should sponsor some local jams. I think if we really got into investigating on them people and got onto them people and went to their money source and say that, hey man, we're not getting represented by these Levitt people down here. Because I've never went and tried to do a rap show or a hip hop show at Levitt, but I wouldn't try to do a metal show, and it's no. Not no, but hell no. We don't want you. It's like, damn, man, this is 1982 or what?
Yeah.
You know, we're real people too. You know, I had one lady. She owned a place over here. I shouldn't say it, man. Guys, she'll probably see this. But I went in there and asked her. I was wanting to do a concert in that space that's behind Division Brewing and behind where Hershey is now. It was a lady in there. You remember she had a place called Cosmic Crow Collective. Do you remember that? She sold all that hippie stuff right there in the corner where that growl is now. Okay, well, she was in there. I went there and asked her one time. I'd already got the Division Brewing guy's permission. I had to get her permission. And she told me, I'm not going to have that heavy metal out there. We have a family-oriented situation going on here. And I'm like, what in the hell is wrong with you people? I'm a family man too. I got kids, grandkids. Just because I'm a metal guy don't mean I'm not family oriented. You know, you know what I mean? So what kind of prejudice is that? That's straight prejudice right there. The lady told me. And obviously I never walked back in her place again. I used to tell people about it because they had all these cool hippie things down there. Stuff, man, it's real neat stuff you never find anywhere. And I'd always tell people about it, you know, but once she told me that, man, dude, I say nothing more to anybody about your place ever again. Sorry, but I'm not family oriented enough for you. I'm metalhead. We worship the devil all the time, so you know.
Well, our last question here is from Liveable, Arlington. It says, in the years since gas drilling started here, a lot of peer-reviewed research has been done pointing to serious health issues from living next to drilling areas. Many Arlington residents have serious concerns about living next to fracking pollution. What steps can you take to address this public health issue?
Get them the hell out of our town. Do everything we can to stop them. Do everything we can to get them out of our town. You know, and people will hate me for saying these types of things, but gas has been a problem in our country forever. It's a problem. It's obvious that it's hurting our atmosphere. But that big money oil, big money oil, they're able to keep their little low thing going for a little longer, but we're gonna get them one of these days. We're gonna sabotage them. They know what they're doing. They've bought ideas from people along the ways. You know, people that had better ideas, cleaner ideas. They bought them so they could silence it. You know, to keep selling their oil. And that's just another horrible tradition of America. And then, you know, you talk about Arlington, of course, we've had the fracking issues, but it's just overall, it's been a horrible thing for America. As soon as you start trying to go with clean energy, we're cheating these people out of jobs, and we're doing all these terrible things that But the thing is, you need to look at your boss, and they're the ones that have done all these terrible things because they put a fraud on our country for so long about oil and gas. And oil and gas are bad. It's just that simple. Coal mines are bad. You want to send one of your family members down to the coal mine? No, no. You're going to beg them not to go to the coal mine. So as Arlington is, as our nation is, as it pertains to gas and oil needs to go. It needs to go. We need to pitch it to the side. But nobody wants to hear this good old Texas man out there, Pat. But it's not the politicians who want change's fault. It's the money people with the oil that kept it this way for so long that now you're going to suffer. Because it should have been long before you ever even had a job here. It should have been done in 1980, 1985, 1990, we do learn things as we go along, we used to have the Marlboro Man on TV when I was a kid, Marlboro Man ended up dying of lung cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Marlboro Man died of lung cancer, man. That was... Obviously, it's not cool, but it's very ironic, But we used to sell cigarettes on TV. You had Marlboro cigarettes, smoked the finest, whatever. When I was a kid, you watch that, But yeah, gas is horrible, and there shouldn't be any fracking in our city. There shouldn't even be use of gas, as far as I'm concerned, in any form or fashion. We need clean energy.
Well, that's all the questions that I have for you. Is there anything else that you want to say to any of the Arlington Urban viewers, or where people can reach you at and find more information?
Anybody can find anybody if they want to. I'm out there. But I say to your viewers this. I know I'm not black, but I also know that I have a lot of the same concerns. I don't like being treated with prejudice, and I don't want to see anybody else in this city treated with prejudice. And if you're a black man, if you're a black lady, if you're a brown man, you're a brown lady, if you're Asian, my door is open to you. If you feel like, man, I was driving down 303 on a beautiful sunny day. Next thing you know, man, I'm on the side of the road eating grass, man, and some dude's got his knee in my back. Man, I want you to come to me, man, and we're going to go down there. We're going to find out who this guy was, who this lady was. We're going to put them on Front Street, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure the people are treated right. Nice. That's everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Warden, for your time today.
Thank you very much, man. You're a cool lady, man. And all your people, man, have been so groovy, man. We've been groovy. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.